The FCS College Football Experience Week 8 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100 times the amount of money you enter. That's right. Turn $5 into $500 in just one game. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today, people. Plus, the NBA is back, and so is the NBA Gambling Podcast. And to celebrate, we're giving away a NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog for all the details. Once again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog for all of the details. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is Pac-Man Jones. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Welcome to the FCS College Football Experience Week 8 reaction show. We got a lot to talk about. I'll put it like that. We got a lot to talk about because I kind of got my ass whooped, on wagers. It happens from time to time. Folks, you're probably wondering who the hell you're listening to, and that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Danterbase Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Oh, I mean, here's the thing about this year is I feel like we're getting just some big-time shockers left and right. Score fronts. Shout out to the chat. You can watch this once again, youtube.com/the college experience. Ryan Hasty in the chat. He had a good FCS weekend. There we go. Hopefully we helped out some. I am joined by this guy here. They call him the Gulf Coast Guru. And he's somewhere, when he's not on air, he's somewhere on a power boat or some type of, he's out in the middle of the Gulf. All right. He's on some type of thing, cruising around with cocktails in his hands and gals up in the power boat, the yacht, the pontoon boat, the jet ski. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be one of those fucking tubes that's falling behind the boat. You know what I mean? It's trailing behind the boat. You could be on one of those tubes with the margarita and 3 gals. Next thing you know, you're gonna find yourself, in the Gulf of Mexico, hanging out with this guy. Give it up for Mike Rose, aka the Gulf Coast Guru. How you doing, brother?
What's up, brother, man? Yeah, Mrs. Gulf Coast Guru wouldn't be too happy if I had those 3 girls around me. So
it's
okay.
A persona. You know what I mean? It's a persona. You can't help yourself.
Right.
When you're throwing out these winners, metaphorically, you're on the back of a fucking. What are those things called? A tube. You're on a tube.
Inner tube. There you go.
Yeah, and you got fucking 4 gals. You got a cocktail in your hand, squeezing a lime, dropping it in the cocktail as you're hitting as the boats are hitting 100 miles per hour on that beautiful Gulf of Mexico. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, I'm definitely doing that. Definitely not just sitting at home watching Netflix. I'm out there doing those things. So that's awesome.
You live in the same state as Ric Flair. Own it. All right, own it, brother.
So yeah, FCS definitely kinder to me than FBS was this weekend. So we got a hell of a lot to talk about, man. I can't wait to get going. This was a crazy weekend.
I'm just gonna get to a couple of the. I think we just gotta dive right in on some of these shocking, and it's making this to be a very interesting postseason. But before I do that, I want to tell you folks that the FCS College Football Experience. It's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is a way to play along alongside your favorite football team all season long. And Underdog has just introduced Scorchers, where you can go 5 for 5 and pick up Scorchers and enjoy a nice for a limited time. Underdog's extended their first deposit bonus up to $500. $100,000 Sundays, folks. They're giving away $100,000 every Sunday. It's unbelievable. All right, 10 lucky players will win $10K each. Get on over there. All right. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by the NBA Underdog Contest. Yes, the NBA is back, and to celebrate, we're giving away an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. So head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Dog to submit a screenshot of you playing NBA Underdog using our promo code SGPN, and one random winner will get a NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Dog, and remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right, we are back on the FCS College Football Experience, and we're gonna go game by game. But first, I want to hit with some news. How about this? Merrimack and Sacred Heart have announced that they're leaving the NEC to join the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAAC. Now, here's the thing: is the MAAC does not sponsor football, and neither school has announced where they're going with football yet. So, a bit shocked. I hope they're not thinking of getting rid of football, because I think both schools, obviously, they've had good success. Sacred Heart was in the FCS playoffs not long ago. Merrimack seems to be moving, getting better and better each year. So it's a bit shocking. What do you make of that? I mean, you think that maybe they end up in one of these conferences, but now all of a sudden the NEC, which has what now, St. Francis, Duquesne, Central Connecticut State, you don't have a lot of teams. So maybe, I don't know what they're going to do. They need to add some more teams. They need to go in there and get some more teams. But maybe look, there's schools out there in the D2. Go get them. Go fucking get them. All right. Stay as a conference. Don't panic. But what do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, Sacred Heart could they could go away for all I care after what they've done to me this season. But Merrimack, I mean, you got to think Merrimack's in a pretty good position to win that conference this year. So that's definitely going to hurt. That's a pretty big loss. I'm curious to see where they're going to wind up if somewhere else. And what I'm really hoping is we're not going to be looking at kind of what's happening in the FBS, where you're going to start seeing these conferences shrivel to nothing and end up with, 2 or 3 left at the end of the day. So that's my main concern. I don't want to see that to happen to FCS football, because I'm counting on them to carry the torch once FBS goes fully corporate.
Amen. And yeah, I mean, me too. It's just pretty shocking though that they're going to join a conference that does not have football, unless those other schools are going to come out of the woodworks and play some football. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just pretty shocking to me. And maybe they thought the NEC. I don't know. I don't know the logic. I got to dive a little bit more into the story there. But I was a bit baffled by that news. But okay. Now that we got the news out of the way, let's get to this. This is what I mean. This is shaking up to be one of the more interesting FCS years of late for me, at least, because pretty much every team that I thought, with the exception of the wagon that is South Dakota State, a lot of the teams that I thought were completely legit, like, okay, I'm just gonna go through the big outcomes that shocked me. All right, first off, the biggest one to me out the gate was Holy Cross losing to Lafayette. The Leopards. I lost money on this game. And I'll be honest, this was not a fluke. Lafayette won. I watched this whole game. Lafayette, their only loss is to Duke. Duke is good. Duke should have beat Florida State had Riley Leonard not gotten injured. And even this final score is misleading. That was like 38-28. Holy Cross got like a garbage touchdown late.
Mm-hmm.
I did not foresee Holy Cross going 4-3 this season. The 7 games in, I also did not foresee Lafayette, the Leopards, going to Holy Cross and putting it on them. Holy shit. We're looking at Lafayette potentially now as the outright bid there. So now, I mean, they're going to need to trip up somewhere. When you pull up the Patriot League records now, Lafayette undefeated, Holy Cross and Georgetown in second place, both with a loss. Fordham's got 1 loss, Colgate 1 loss, 1 win itself. I mean, that was a shocking outcome there. As like I said, dude, Matthew Saluka, my boy, only threw for 85 yards. Now they did rush for 429 and they lost. How does that happen? Either way, that outcome was unbelievably shocking. What'd you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, preseason, I was fairly high on Lafayette. As far as, I think I had them going 3rd in the conference. And I think we even talked about maybe with Fordham being a little, a lot of turnover. Maybe they could, nip at their heels, but definitely did not see this coming. First out, shout out John Troxel. Hell of a job. Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, like you said, this wasn't a fluky win. Holy Cross, they came back from.
They were the better team, man. They were the fucking better team, man. There's no way to not look. I love Holy Cross, one of my favorite football teams to watch. Their defense has not been as good this year, and in general, they got their ass whooped on Saturday. They were not the better team. I think anyone that watched that game will tell you. So
what I want is all the, I'm sure, hundreds and hundreds of people associated with the Lafayette program that are listening to us right now. They need to look at what just happened in North Dakota and get on it next week and play Georgetown. You're on the road and you're coming off a big win.
Huge game
for that shit.
Huge game. Yeah.
Yes.
So hold on. I'm going to hit with the biggest games first that I thought I was just like kind of taken back from. Now we go to Princeton, New Jersey, where Harvard took on Princeton, and Blake Stenstrom and the Princeton Tigers win 21-14, and we're up 14-0 at halftime. This was not fluky either. They were the better football team against Harvard, and Harvard looked like a fucking heavyweight all season long before that. Shout out to the Princeton Tigers. They limited Harvard's passing attack to just 152 yards. Harvard couldn't get the rushing game going, only 68 yards on the ground. Meanwhile, Stenstrom throws for 244. They also rushed for 83, so they outrushed them, even though both rushing attacks weren't prolific in any realms. But unbelievable to now we have the Ivies open, man. Now, I mean, I know they don't have the auto bid because they're ridiculous not to do the auto bid and go play in the FCS playoffs, but you now have Princeton 2-1, Harvard 2-1, fucking Dartmouth 2-1, Penn 2-1, and Cornell 2-1. I mean, it's anyone's conference now. That was a shocking outcome. I thought Harvard was way better than every team in the conference based on this season. Rivalry game, man. This is why you say throw out the record books. Rivalry game. Huge win for the Princeton Tigers. I got the heart of Lions, Tigers, and Bears, once said Mike Tyson, and I can see why. Because Princeton, the Tigers, they have that big ass heart too. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, I mean, we were both on the points in this rivalry matchup, so good on us for catching that. But one of the things we talked about was DePrima, the quarterback for Harvard.
Stud.
We were talking about how he didn't turn over the ball a lot. Well, this game, 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. So that hurts. That's gonna hurt you. And I mean, shout out to Princeton to finally show up for a game here and get it done. So I'm very interested in this race and feeling a little bit better about my Penn pick to win the Ivy this year, I think.
Well, I mean, I guess I can throw that into the mix because Penn beats Yale by 10 at the Yale Bowl. I didn't see a 10-point win coming. I thought this would be a field goal game. The shout out to Penn. They're 5-1. To come into the Yale Bowl in New Haven, getting that dub, holding Yale's offense. We should talk about this. Like, they did a great job against Yale's offense because Yale's offense was pretty prolific over the years here. 121 yards passing. If anything, Yale had more success on the ground, which they don't try to be a ground team. Essentially, they had 124 on the ground, but meanwhile, Penn threw for 364. Whew. Getting it done are the Quakers. Those were a couple shockers to me, but I want to give a special fuck you to ESPN Plus, which normally I appreciate how they have all these FCS games, but to me, the game of the week was Furman and Western Carolina, and I went to put this game on, and they had technical difficulties for the entire game. I didn't see one fucking play of this game. Furman does win 29-17. I know Western Carolina's star running back did not play, but I can't even give an analysis on it because I didn't watch a fucking play of it. So Furman 29, Western Carolina 17. Now it looks like the SoCon is in the hands of Furman because Furman now has a 4-0 record in conference. If anything, Chattanooga's in second place at 5-1, even though Western Carolina has the tiebreaker with them, but Western Carolina is only 3-1. They haven't played as many games. So it's a brand new, let me see Furman's remaining schedule because they're 6-1.
A few weeks they got to go to Chattanooga.
That's the one because everyone else sucks that they play. ETSU, VMI at Wofford. So November 4th at Chattanooga is going to be that game. Still, I mean, I was a bit shocked by the outcome. I know Western Carolina had some key players out, but I don't care. I mean, the yardage was really impressive. I mean, Furman rushed for 334 yards. I'm sorry, you're not going to win a lot of football games if you give up 334 yards on the ground. And look, we know, shout out to Weehawk. I am a Catamount fan. That is my team. But damn it, you gotta step it up against the run a little bit better than that. What'd you make of this one, man?
Yeah, first off, Ryan Hasty, you are right. The Weehawk Minute is still the best. This is the first one that's kind of sad for the year, a little upset about it. Nobody got to watch it, so who knows? But it seemed like it was still a pretty good game coming down to the wire. And Furman ended up doing what a team with that many returning starters should do. There was something, it's not necessarily about this game, but I was very curious after seeing ECU fall to Biff Poggi this past weekend. Kerwin Bell, what does that name do for you?
It does a lot. It does a lot. All right. And I know Rich Rod has been at the top of my hype train as East Carolina's next head coach. But I would certainly call Kerwin Bell. But here's another thing. Appalachian State might be calling too, and that's right down the road. So, I don't know. But yes, I would love that. Obviously, former NFL and CFL quarterback Kerwin Bell. That was shocking. Also, my Georgetown Hoyas at home at Cooper Field. Colgate gets a double-digit win. I can't figure out this Georgetown team. Just when I start to buy in, being like, this team is 100% legit, the fucking toothpaste comes down there and beats them. And really, it's kind of crazy because every stat is in Georgetown's favor. Like Georgetown had 443 yards of offense. Colgate had 138 yards of offense. 238 yards of offense. So Georgetown doubled them up essentially in yardage, but you can't throw 3 interceptions. You know what I mean? Like that will kill you. And that's really kind of told the story of the game. I feel like if they play again, I might take Georgetown. You just got to protect the football a little bit better. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, Colgate, very interesting. They scored 32 points through the first 4 games of the season. Basically got waxed by everybody, but maybe that was a competition thing. They started off, they played Syracuse, Villanova, Penn, and then Holy Cross. Now they've won 3 straight. So this could be a little bit of a situation where maybe Colgate was a little bit better than we thought, and Georgetown still just hard as hell to figure out.
Yeah. So that was a shocker. I'll jump down to the next one. That was a clear shocker to me. Towson 34, William and Mary 24. Now we took Towson in the points. I did not foresee a double-digit win in Williamsburg at Carey Field there. Shout out to the Towson Tigers. It was a big weekend for the Tigers between Princeton and Towson. That's a huge win. And William and Mary, I mean, this is turning into a disaster season for them now. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, the CAA is just all over the place so far this year. It's getting really, really interesting. William and Mary, yeah, like you said, not so surprised they covered, but I mean, now you're talking about a Towson team that's taken down New Hampshire and William and Mary both on the road, won those games outright. And this team's 3-4. So what the hell's going on? I can't quite figure it out. But William and Mary has they have offensive troubles, man. They're offensively challenged. So good win for Towson. William and Mary's, I don't know if they're a playoff team the way they look, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there were shocking outcomes left and right, man. Idaho State, just when we buy into Portland State is like, oh damn, dude, they can make the FCS playoffs. No, Idaho State, Cody Hawkins. You want to talk about coach of the year?
Yes.
I mean, they won by 14 at Portland State. Figure that one out. Portland State had been scoring like 80 points on every team. Unbelievable win by the Bengals. Shout out to and this program was asked the past few years. Cody Hawkins, year 1, son of Dan Hawkins, doing a damn good job. 38-24. Really just beat their ass, man. Just beat their ass. It's the best way to say it. Like, what do you make of that one?
Yeah, man. Cody Hawk got this team playing ball. I'm really impressed. I remember I had a friend that was a diehard Buffs fan growing up, and he loved Dan Hawkins until it came time for Cody to be QB1 and kind of wrecked the ship. And he hated Dan Hawkins and, always said that was going to be the end of him. And now it looks like Cody might be the better coach than old dad. So maybe Cody wouldn't have played himself at Colorado.
Thanks.
Oh, look at that getting stirred.
There you go. Getting a coffee from this guy. He's opening random doors. Yeah, I mean, dude, the outcomes. How about this one? Northern Iowa 27, North Dakota 0. I'm telling you, each game I was like, what? What the fuck is going on here? I mean, look, I expected it was a get right spot for Northern, like a good time for Northern Iowa to get North Dakota. I didn't think it was going to be 27-0.
Man, there's these spots that happen, and we talk about it all the time. If you're a gambler, you know the spots to look for. What I don't understand is how people like us sit here and like North Dakota going on the road to play Northern Iowa, coming off the win over North Dakota State. Like, are you not telling your players all week, like, do not be out there chasing ass, do not be partying. You got a game next week. You got to focus, because it just happens again and again and again. And honestly, I'm disappointed in the, I tried to back them. I even picked them. I think we picked it at -1, and I took North Dakota to get it done. And they fall here in a classic trap spot after a big win. So disappointing to me, honestly.
Yeah. Now, the only good news is I did hit the Eastern Washington Eagles against Weber State -5. We got it done. The Eagles are flying high. Let's go. Weber State moves to 3-5. What is happening? Oof. Yeah, I guess we can go chronologically on the rest of the games now. Central Connecticut State 17, Wagner 3. I did lock up Wagner. I did lose a bunch of money. What the fuck happened here? I don't understand. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Wagner was at home, right? They're at home. They have a former FBS quarterback. What in the hell happened? 17-3 dominating performance by the Blue Devils. I'm shocked. What do you make of this one? Yeah,
Wagner's, they got us all excited, thought maybe they were turning things around. And then the last 3 games, listen to this, 52-3 from Rutgers, 31-7 for St. Francis, and then now 17-3 against Central Connecticut State. I think the dream season maybe coming to a crashing halt here, offensively challenged as well. Disappointing.
Then you got, dude, this weekend was batshit crazy. All right. The fucking Sharks of Long Island put up 0 against Merrimack. What the fuck is happening? The fucking Sharks decided not to show up. They were 3-point favorites. They lost by 39-0. The fucking Sharks, who had shown signs of life, 48 yards passing, just 83 yards rushing. I mean, dude, if someone had this on the board, good. Like, I think we took Merrimack, but
Yeah, we double locked. We double locked 8.5 is when we picked it. So we were getting 8.5 points. I think we never really had to sweat this one. This is one that did help me recover a little bit of my losses from FCS football this weekend. So I did bet this personally myself. Merrimack's, they're finding their stride, man. They're a player. So that's what I was talking about. I'm interested to see where they end up if they're going somewhere else. So this was a big game. I felt like in Long Island, they really shit the bed, man. I think season's looking a little bleak for them at this point.
I don't know what is happening. But South Carolina State, Buddy Pugh, he says, "Yeah, give me time. I'm gonna go up there to Delaware, beat their ass, 35-7. Nice win as they move to 3-4 on the season. Still could have a winning season in Buddy Pugh's final season. Shout out to the Bulldogs. What'd you make of that one?"
Yeah, I mean, I laid the 14.5 when I picked it. I thought maybe they're finding their stride a little bit, I guess. But I mean, big win here. Next two games they got coming up, they got NC Central and then Howard, which NC Central obviously clearly the favorite in the conference. Howard, I don't know what the hell's going on with that team. They have not impressed me. So getting them at home, that could be a really interesting game.
That Central game is Thursday night, folks. You got a good one. Norfolk State Howard was, dude. So I don't know how the fuck Howard won this game. I changed the channel thinking this at 17-3 at halftime. And then I think after the third, it was 17-6. I was like, Norfolk's been dominating this game. I'm changing it. I changed it over to a different game. Kind of forgot about it. Then I saw the score. Howard scores 15 in the fourth. Gets the dub 27-23. I know we're questioning the Bison, but they got it done. They just didn't cover. They got it done though.
And I would say Norfolk's been they've been a lot scrappier than I think we anticipated. So that's not a bad football team there. I mean, what didn't they beat Towson, didn't they? Or yeah, they beat Towson, who was beating William and Mary in New Hampshire. So this team's not all that bad, honestly. It's just Howard. I've been expecting a lot more from them, and they haven't shown it. So very interested to see where the MEAC goes. But I feel like it's pretty clear that NC Central's in the driver's seat.
Yeah. We did hit this one, or at least I did. I think you followed me. The Butler Bulldogs. You actually took Dayton. Now that I think about it, didn't you?
No. I took Butler, but I didn't lock it up with you.
Okay. Butler 37, Dayton 10. Butler's not going to win this conference championship because Davidson's going to run away with it. But I would love to see them play Davidson again because I think Butler probably is the best football team. I don't know. Dominating performance on the road against the Flyers. And then this was an easy play, right? The Richmond Spiders minus the points as they win by 23 against North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, North Carolina. Dominating performance. And then we were on this one. Chattanooga beat the piss out of East Tennessee State 34-3. Chattanooga's a very good team. Chattanooga, we're probably going to end up with a 3-way tie. Watch, Chattanooga's going to beat Furman in Chattanooga. Western Carolina will have the tiebreaker on Chattanooga, providing they don't fuck up down the stretch. Chattanooga will have the tiebreaker on Furman. Furman will have the tiebreaker on Western Carolina. Then you figure it out. I don't even know what the equation is to get into the FCS playoffs then, or get the auto bid. I actually tend to think Chattanooga is like a top 15 team in the country, maybe even top 10. You?
Yeah, I think so too. This really impressed me. I mean, I know ETSU's kind of sucked, but this is you got a little battle going on, in state. So it's very, very interesting to me to see them come out there and wax them like that, get back on the right track. So SoCon, very, very interesting. Did not really see it playing out this way, especially with Samford not really being in that mix that we're talking about. So yeah, pretty crazy. And another thing, just bouncing back to Butler real quick, they got a game against Drake at the end of the year, and Drake actually, they don't play Davidson at all. So Drake's actually in this mix, and
they're definitely in this mix, man. Huge win at San Diego. Drake goes down there, gets it done. I thought it was a bad spot for the Bulldogs going cross country to take on the Toreros. Mm-hmm. Drake, I'm buying in. Let's get Drake back. People back in the 80s, I think 70s and 80s, Drake used to be a fucking force. Mm-hmm. I would love to see them get this program back to where it should be. Folks, before we get to the next game, I want to tell you that the college football experience, the FCS college football experience, is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Yes, look, win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, we're back. The shockers kept coming. Well, no, I mean, this one was not a shocker, but the score was a shocker. St. Thomas 38, Stetson 6. Here I thought Stetson could give them a game. I'm having a hard time understanding this season. St. Thomas was favored, but I mean, shit, I didn't think 38-6. Dominating performance. They had 378 yards on the ground, on the road in Florida. Whew. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I think both of us were really falling off the St. Thomas train. So seeing them go on the road and get something done like that, I know.
Where was this all year?
Yeah, that's the team we've expected.
Yeah.
So very interesting. Stetson, maybe more of a statement about where they're at as a program than where St. Thomas is.
Well, and then the Brown Bears, Jamison Wang. Can someone make sense of this Cornell team to me? Because, I mean, they barely beat Lehigh week 1. Lehigh had not been good this year. The next week they beat Yale at Yale. We're like, oh, okay, Cornell. Then they lose by double digits to a questionable Colgate team. And then I'm like, you know what? That was probably just a flash in the pan. Give me the points against Harvard. No, Harvard destroys them. But then I'm like, wait a second. Harvard's just really good. They got DePrima. Everyone's really good. They're going to fuck up Bucknell. No, Bucknell beats them. So now I'm like, I'm out on Cornell. Something ain't right. And what do? They beat Brown, who has looked really good. You figure this out. I consider myself a good handicapper. The FCS has been a little drunk lately. I'd say like the past 3 weeks, the FCS has been very, very interesting as far as just wild outcomes. What'd you make of this game?
Man, one of the things that surprised me the most, I actually did take Cornell here. I did not see them blowing them out. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a close game, but similar talent is what I really thought. Is they're kind of, even though Cornell was falling off, I thought still, they probably actually have the better roster. But what I'm really impressed about is Jamison Wang goes out there and throws for 330 and 2 TDs and didn't really do it on the ground, which is normally he's a dual threat, kind of runs almost equal amount as his passing. So what the hell's going on out here, man? I have no idea.
And then, okay, South Dakota holds Indiana State to just 3 points, 17-3. Okay, that's kind of how I kind of thought it'd be like 21-3, something like that, 24-7. I don't know. That went. But then we had the NEC battle, and this is going to make it super interesting. So, folks, if you are not paying attention, the NEC gets an auto bid to the FCS playoffs, and we had a big game because Duquesne and St. Francis, the top 2 teams in the conference, were going at each other last week. The top 2 teams. Now they're not, but Duquesne wins 38-35. But Stephen F. Austin, St. Francis. Oh, so at halftime, I'm watching this game, NEC app. Duquesne was up 31-7, and you're like, oh, I could turn this one off. And then, I start watching the other games, and then all of a sudden you do a quick score check and you realize that St. Francis scored 28 unanswered. And then you're like, fuck, Duquesne barely wins this thing. That's a huge win for Duquesne because, you got to kind of think now. They still have the game against Merrimack, final game of the season. I believe Merrimack's eligible this year. I think this is their first year eligible. It's either their first year eligible or their last year ineligible. So something to monitor there, but that's a huge win against the Red Flash. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, wild one. I thought this was a game I had stopped paying attention to as well. And then all of a sudden look later and I'm like, whoa, how'd that game get so close? Cole Doyle kind of let him back for St. Francis. So Cole Doyle rules. Let's go. But,
I like that.
Duquesne though. Yeah. It's going to come down. I think Merrimack, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, Merrimack is eligible this season. I thought they were. This is their first year. I think so. And they get Duquesne at home to end the season. So, we already see where these conference races are heading. And and it's exciting, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So then you have Bucknell, right? Who for the first half kept it close with JMU, who beat VMI, who beat then they beat Cornell a week ago. You thought, hey, this Bucknell team's really improving. No, Lehigh beats them by 9. Lehigh had just one win before that. I am shocked once again. I mean, Lehigh was the better, more physical football team. I didn't see this one coming. Did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Especially, I mean, it was 20-3 at halftime, and I just gave up on this game too because I've been supporting my Bison this year. I thought they were turning a corner, and it looks like they're going right back down the shit scale. So, whatever. Good win for Lehigh, I guess.
Valpo covered against Davidson. Davidson won 42-21. Valpo did get the cover. Your Skyhawks of Stonehill got the dub in overtime. Sacred Heart is you're making bold football moves. You're 1-7. You're just saying, no, we're out of the NEC. Who the fuck? If I'm the president if I'm the commissioner of the NEC, I'm like, what are you doing? You're 1-7. What the fuck you doing? I know they've had FCS playoff runs, but how about this one? Presbyterian. I got cute with Presbyterian. Marist wins 19-10 at Presbyterian. Big win for the Red Foxes. Fucking Dartmouth. I was on this one. Dartmouth beats Columbia 20-9. Finally, a couple that I got right. Well, no, not Presbyterian, but as far as Stonehill and Dartmouth, Northeast football, I'm starting to get okay. I one of the big ones that I was able to forecast as far as Samford winning. They did not cover. They did not cover like I thought they would. VMI, Samford beats VMI, but VMI covers. And then let's talk about the team that maybe no one's talking about that everyone should be talking about is the Delaware Blue Hens. Everyone's talking. I feel like everyone's talking South Dakota or South Dakota State or Montana State. Maybe they're even talking some of the other schools that have been factors in the past, the Salukis and stuff, and the Grizz. Delaware just quietly beating the shit out of everybody. 47-3 in Hampton, Virginia, there at Armstrong Stadium. Dominating performance by the Blue Hens. Is Delaware potentially the biggest threat to South Dakota State?
I think definitely. I mean, I think you look at the CAA and you say they're for sure in the driver's seat of that conference, and then now you're looking at the rest of the schedule, and I mean, they get Elon at home, they get Villanova at home, so both of those spots good. I would say, watch out, Towson. They're coming out to Towson, Maryland to play. Coming up this week. So hey, they've been kind of a giant slayer. But right now, I think Delaware, when you're not looking at the main teams that you just mentioned, they got to be one because they're blowing teams out. They're fucking teams up.
Yeah. Ryan in the chat saying Delaware's winning an FCS natty this year. Elon 28, Monmouth 26. Monmouth was favored. That's a nice win for Elon as they move to 4-4. I feel like Elon's better than 4-4, but maybe down the stretch. No, they got to go to Delaware and Richmond. I don't know.
Man, speaking of being drunk, my book, I got Elon plus 7.5 in that game somehow. I had no idea how, so I definitely cashed on that one. Thank you to my book.
Yeah,
stupid line.
Fantastic. I told you guys that the numbers are always crazy. They're always crazy. Illinois State covered against Youngstown. Youngstown won 41-38. Big fourth quarter by the Penguins. Youngstown did not cover the 8, but hey, down the stretch here, hear me out here. You're 4-3. You got Missouri State coming into the ice box, the ice chest, this Saturday. Should be 5 wins there. Then you're at Indiana State, should be 6. And then there's the game that you need. Home against South Dakota State. You win that game, you're going to be in the FCS playoffs because you have Murray State after that. The schedule works. If you can beat South Dakota State, which is a big if, obviously they won the national championship last year. Could be a special season for the Penguins, though, man.
Listen to this stretch for South Dakota State too. So this week they got coming up. They got South Dakota. Then they have the battle against North Dakota State, and then they're going to be playing the Penguins. So
it's fantastic.
I mean, that's a good
fantastic spot.
There you go.
Fantastic spot. Let's go. Big win there against Illinois State for the Penguins. UT Martin cruised against Charleston Southern 17-0. Eastern Illinois keeping their postseason hopes alive. 25-24 win against Bryant, the Bulldogs. They did not cover for us, but a win is a win is a win as they move to 5-3. Now they need a little love here. Unfortunately, I don't think UT Martin is going to be losing. Like UT Martin is still 6-1 with their lone loss being Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. I know it wasn't super pretty. UT Martin beating Charleston Southern 17-0, but they still, hear me out here. They still have at Gardner Webb this upcoming week, which is losable. Then at Tennessee Tech, I think they'll probably beat Tennessee Tech, but then the home game against SEMO, they could lose both of those. And I think EIU, because at the Samford game, the end of the season's a non-con game. So EIU, wait, are they cooked? I think they might be cooked actually. Yeah, because they lost to SEMO. Yeah, I think they would need UT Martin to lose out, which is certainly still possible, but I don't think it's likely. Keeping their hopes alive though with a nice win.
I like too. I think they had, this was definitely a little. That's why I took Charleston Southern with the points. I thought, hey, a little look ahead spot. They got Gardner Webb on deck, and Gardner Webb, they didn't have that luxury. They played EKU last week in a tight one that I'm sure we'll talk about soon here. So I like UT Martin in this position that they're in to play Gardner Webb, and then I think that SEMO game might come down to the wire for determining a lot of things in that conference. So interesting.
Yeah. I like Ron in the chat saying the Bobcats are going to Ragdoll, Idaho. Let's go, Montana State Bobcats in a big one coming up this weekend. But Ryan Hasty says the Big Sky is such a powerhouse conference. They are. They're certainly a great conference. Missouri State beats Murray State 28-24. Tennessee State, Eddie George 54, Lincoln, California, nothing. Lincoln, California just stays on the road like the Rolling Stones, but getting their ass kicked. At least the Rolling Stones got that love and appreciation. All right. That satisfaction, dare I say. Alcorn State, we hit this one. Alcorn State 31, Pine Bluff 7. Easy play. We're going to talk Montana State in a second, Ron. Nice win though for the Braves. Jackson State 21, Mississippi Valley State 6. What the hell is this, man? we took Jackson State. How do they keep that within 2 scores? How? I don't understand the sport.
The Delta Devils are catching fire, man. Coming off that big win against Arkansas Pine Bluff. No, I don't know. I think Jackson State. I'm trying to pull up who they got on deck. Nope, it's Arkansas Pine Bluff. So definitely not a look ahead. I just don't think maybe that team's as good as we thought they were going to be this year. So TC Huntley maybe going to take a little bit of time to get the ship on the right track.
Yeah. How about this one? Big Puff. We were all over Big Puff and the Great Danes. All right. Danes up. That's what I'm calling it. Danes up. Those ears are up. 35-10 Rhode Island. What the fuck has happened to Rhode Island lately? 4-4 now. Disaster of a season. Now they got New Hampshire on deck before a trip to A&T and then at Towson. Watch out. I don't know. I just think Puff, dude, I think Albany should be an FCS playoff team. I actually think Albany, short of Delaware, from an eye test point of view, Albany to me the second best team in the CAA. Maybe you can talk me into Nova, but I think those 3 should be in the FCS playoffs if the season ended today. What do you make of that win there for the Great Danes as Big Puff? Man, Big Puff did what? He threw for 324, 4 touchdowns, getting it done.
I want to see Big Papa Puff get a chance in the playoff. Really, I want to see what this dude can do because he's exciting, and I want more eyes on him because I don't think people know what he's bringing to the table. Rhode Island, definitely disappointing with the direction that they're going. Maybe it's time to kind of steer away from that ship because things are going down. But you look at Albany, I think they got actually a kind of a tricky game against Maine, who sucks, but they've been pretty chippy. But you look at the rest of Albany's schedule, you got Maine and Stony Brook. Those are your 2 road games. Albany clearly the better team in both of those. But then you get William and Mary and Monmouth both at home for Albany. So this is a team that really honestly controls their own destiny from here on out, I think. And they're a player in this conference. I mean, what do they have? 1 conference loss? Delaware slips up and you never know. So, hey, man, they're in the hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, Ron's in the chat. Jackson State had 77 hung on them. It was against an FBS, but still, and it could have been. It was going to be 84. They got a holding called back late. I was watching that game as Jackson State has been hard to get a read on. Shout out to Jong, long time friend. Jong says this is the best college football show, period. And he also says Fading Hampton is a fucking cash cow. Shout out to that. Shout out to that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of parity this year. I know Ron's talking about it in the chat right now. North Dakota State, they made a statement. 52, the Leatherneck 7. Western Illinois just can't wait to get out of the Missouri Valley as they just get their ass kicked every week. Is North Dakota State back and serious contenders, Mike?
Man, I mean, you know, I think they're going to be a playoff team and all that, but as far as serious contenders, I don't think this is their year. I mean, good for you. You go out and whip up on the Leathernecks, but everybody's doing that. You're not special. So I don't think this team has that edge this year. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them fall earlier in the playoffs than most people would expect.
Yeah. Yeah. New Hampshire, the Wildcats, 45. Stony Brook, 14. I'll play a little Wildcat too for the people out there. Yeah, New Hampshire, another underrated CAA team, perhaps that could find themselves on the inside. Ron asks a good question. If North Dakota State beats South Dakota State in the Dakota Marker game, that changes everything then.
Chaos.
That changes everything then. Yeah. I mean, I would be shocked, but that would change everything. Wofford 17, Mercer 31. I took Wofford here. I took the 20. I took the 20 and I needed, by the way, this was a tight game for a long way, a long fucking way. But Mercer gets it done. Campbell 34, Maine 28. Campbell's now 4-3. They're probably better than some of these teams that we're talking about in the CAA. When you consider like Campbell's loss was like a 4-point loss to Elon, a 1-point loss to North Carolina Central, I feel like they're better than their record. Like Minter and the Camels. What else do we got here, folks? Yeah, I mean, Nichols 27, Texas A&M Commerce 7. I was dumb. I think you were on the right side of that one.
No, I think you picked Nichols too, didn't you? Or did you take Commerce? I
think I took Commerce. I mean, I didn't bet it, but I'm saying I think I took Commerce. Southern 28, Bethune Cookman 18. What in the fuck? They call off the dog. Southern actually the closing line was Southern by -8, so it's still cashed. But I thought it'd be a little bit more of an ass whooping. Had this game on the screen here. Abilene Christian, Stephen F. Austin. It's a fun little rivalry game. Christian wins by 7. They moved to 4-3. Stephen F. Austin's been a disappointment this year, despite opening up. I think it was at Troy and looking pretty good as Abilene Christian. And let's talk a little bit about the UAC because it's a fun conference. It's a brand new conference. The Oliver Luck is the commissioner, and so right now Central Arkansas is 3-0, Austin Peay's 2-0, Eastern Kentucky's 2-0, Abilene Christian now 2-1, so very much alive. Heartbreaking losses this week. If you're a Utah Tech fan, they were 1-0. They lose by 1 at North Alabama, 31-30. North Alabama was a 4-point favorite, so we got the cover with the Thunderbirds. Insane though, because now North Alabama gets their first win. They're 1-3, so they're pretty much cooked. But that loss could mean something for the Trailblazers. then you have Southern Utah, who we were high on, 1-2 in the conference now because Southern Utah lost in overtime to Austin P 48-45 in just a crazy game. There was a Hail Mary. I mean, it was just a crazy fucking game. Where are you at with the UAC? Is this just Central Arkansas, or who do you think is the best team? I kind of think EKU is a little bit of fool's gold. I kind of think it's Austin P or Arkansas, Central Arkansas, but I'm disappointed with my Thunderbirds. They got to learn how to win these close games, man.
Yeah. Ryan in the chat, Dixie State would have won outright. That got me a little bit. I mean, I'm still on Central Arkansas. I've been pretty boisterous about them all season so far. So that's where I'm sitting. And if you look at that, that's another conference that you can kind of see the route we're going. Austin P and Central Arkansas, they play at Austin P at the end of the season. So I think it's all going to really come down to that. I think those two teams clearly look kind of the best right now. So let's go Bears.
and Gardner Webb just beat Eastern Kentucky. Now, that's not a conference game. So Gardner Webb of the Big South and Ohio Valley, 35, Eastern Kentucky 32. That was a shocking outcome too. EKU, it looked like they were riding the ship, but hey, Gardner Webb is going to be a tough out. I think Gardner Webb's like the best 3 and 4 team in the country, if there's such a thing. Anyway, what else do we got? Tarleton 42, Morehead State 0. That was shocking, sort of. Florida A&M 31, Texas Southern 21. That's what I mean. These like SWAC schools, whenever it's a big number, they can't cover it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we should always take the points in these. Anything over 10 points, you take in the SWAC now. New rule.
I saw too. Willie Simmons came out and he said he was glad actually to see his team trailing at the half. You know, and I kind of get where he's coming from on that FAMU's team that is kind of notorious for shooting themselves in the foot. No matter how good they're looking, they usually trip themselves up. So to see them, you know, trailing at half on the road, come out and put up 21 points in the third quarter and kind of take control of the game back. I think even though they didn't cover for us, I think that's a big win for them. And I think Coach is right on the money that they kind of needed a game like that.
Yeah. And dude, this game was wild. McNeese and Incarnate Word. Dude, McNeese was up 17 at halftime. They're up 24-7 at halftime. I was like, oh damn, this is they're gonna beat iDub. iDub scores 28 unanswered to win. Unbelievable. iDub fucking around, almost took an L, but they get
out too. Because next week they go on the road for the second week in a row, and they got my Lamar Cardinals. So let's go. We got this.
That would be a great story. That would be a very good story. Cal Poly. How about Cal Poly? 24, Northern Colorado 17. Cal Poly moves to 3-5. It's been you know what? Considering they've gotten their ass whooped a couple times, this is a step in the right direction, I believe, for Paul Wuff there. Nice win for the Mustangs. And then let's talk about this one a lot because we did cash this one. Well, if you took the 10.5, I feel sorry for you. Montana State 42, Sacramento State 30. This was on ESPN2. It was a great game, good game to watch. Montana State's just they're legit, man. They were down early, they rally, and kind of put it on them in the second half. Sac State falls to 5-2. Montana State, I still think, you know, Montana State, I know we said Delaware would be the team most likely to beat South Dakota State. I actually think it's Montana State first, then Delaware would probably be second. Huge win for the Bobcats as they continue to just be a complete, you know, like take away that South Dakota State game, which they almost won. I mean, that game was insane. Folks didn't catch the ending of that one, but with Sean, and it's been with whatever, whether it's Chambers, whether it's Malott at the quarterback spot. I mean, I know it's Chambers' thing. It seems like now with him kind of killing it, the former Wyoming Cowboy quarterback, but Montana State, you know, we alluded to this a little bit. They're heading to the filthy Kibbe Dome in Moscow, Idaho, to take on the Vandals this weekend in an awesome matchup. What'd you make of the Sac State game, and What do you think about this Bobcat team?
Yeah, I mean this team's definitely a threat. I mean, we already saw them, play South Dakota State really tight, like you said. So we know this team's for real. And I mean, this was, Sac State. Yeah, they lost some pieces. They lost their coach in the offseason. But they've been feisty this year, so it's good. I mean, this is a team that went to Palo Alto and beat Stanford. So they're a good team. So to get that win by 12 on the road, that's good. Now I'm very interested to see what happens with you got to travel second week in a row on the road. You got to go to Idaho next. And that's a good football team. So I'm still not sure that this Big Sky race is going to boil down to the brawl of the wild. I think there's still other players out there involved, and this is a fun conference, man.
Yeah, and shout out to Ron in the chat who reminds us that Sac State was 24-1 in their last 25 regular season games. Great win for the Bobcats, truly, especially when you think about that stat. You're right. I know Troy Taylor's gone, but that's a very good stat. That's a very good stat right there. Look, that's I know we got to give away some game balls, but I want to hit this Thursday. We have the fucking Long Island Sharks taking on Central Connecticut State. We also have Buddy Pugh, South Carolina State, heading to Durham to take on North Carolina Central. I'm excited to watch that one. And then Friday, Brown Penn could be interesting. Knowing how the Ivy's gone this year, we think we have Penn figured out to be the best team in the Ivy. Watch Brown win by 6 touchdowns. Couple other big ones this week. Holy Cross is at Fordham. I think that's dangerous game for the Crusaders. They got to take care of business if they if they want to get back into this mix and get the auto bid, because the only way they're going to get there is with the auto bid. Meanwhile, Lafayette's at Georgetown. Kendall Hoya's pulling upset. 2 huge Patriot League games this weekend. A couple other matchups that I have highlighted as intriguing. You do have Merrimack taking on St. Francis. Merrimack thinking they could maybe make their first FCS playoff run. St. Francis could derail that with a loss here. Princeton Cornell, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Both teams with the same record in conference. Princeton still at the top currently in the Ivy. New Hampshire, Rhode Island. New Hampshire, this is an opportunity for Rhode Island to get a nice fuck you moment. Their season's kind of cooked, I feel like. Unless they maybe win out, I don't think they're going to make the FCS playoffs. Here's a moment though. You beat New Hampshire, and maybe you can turn this thing around. You touched on Albany at Maine. For some reason, that does feel a little intriguing. We're going to talk about all these on Thursday. One of the biggest games of the weekend is South Dakota State in-state battle, traveling to the Dakota Dome there in Vermillion. Last season, South Dakota State and Brookings won 28-3 in a dominating performance. Remember the Coyotes, their only loss is at Mizzou, and Mizzou's 7-1 over there in the SEC in the FBS. So that game's super intriguing this upcoming week. A few other big time ones. Obviously, we alluded to the Montana State at Idaho game. Big time game there. I can't wait to watch that one. Remember last time Idaho. What happened against Montana? Kind of shit the bed at home. The Montana sweep might happen there at the Kibbe Dome. I'm excited for Abilene Christian Southern Utah. I think that could be an interesting one. That could still get some teams right back on the right track. Fucking Dartmouth taking on Harvard. These Ivy League matchups are all exciting. But I'd say those are kind of the big ones. Eastern Kentucky traveling to Dixie State, aka Utah Tech. Intriguing. Tarleton at Central Arkansas. We're going to have it all covered this Thursday, 5:00 Pacific. Or actually 4:00 Pacific. I'm sorry. 4:00 Pacific. Let's give a little game balls. 3 game balls each. I'll let you lead the way, Mike. What are you doing here for your top game ball from week 8?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with somebody maybe a little bottom feeder, but I just like what's going on with the program. Cody Hawkins, last 4 weeks in a row. I mean, they beat Northern Colorado. They played Montana, the Grizz, second in Big Sky right now, played them to within 8 points. Then they beat E-Dub, and now they beat Portland State on the road. I think that's worthy of a game ball, getting this one done in a pretty dominant fashion, honestly. So let's go Idaho State.
Yeah, I like it. I think they're well deserving of a game ball. Jong in the chat says, has Holy Cross lost its luster? They're certainly being tested. I'll put it like this. I thought they should have beat Boston College week 2. If they get through this game here against Fordham, which last year was a fucking wild game, maybe I could buy into it that they could still get back there, but they're gonna need Lafayette to fall along the way. So I think if you're a Holy Cross fan, you love the Georgetown Hoyas this weekend. My first game ball. Let's keep it in the Patriot League. I'll stay right there. Lafayette, the Leopards. This has been an unbelievable start to your season. No one. I mean, look, we thought you might be improved. None of us, I think, had us the Leopards at this point with Dean Denoble at the quarterback spot. I'm just impressed by this team. They're a fun watch. If you get a chance, check them out. The Lafayette Leopards. Second game ball, Mike. Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my second game ball to Big Papa Poff, and I know he's a team player and he's gonna distribute that game ball to everybody else on the Albany Great Danes. I love this team. I think they hold a lot of their own destiny in their hands with the remaining schedule, and I want this team to make the playoffs. So I'm gonna give them a little motivation with a game ball here. Big win, dominant fashion.
Definitely, and I realized I didn't talk much about the. I didn't talk much about South Dakota State beating the Salukis. That was a nice win, 17-10. It was really like 17-7. Salukis added a late field goal in that game, so my apologies for not doing a deep dive on that game. Also, SEMO did roll Tennessee Tech. I didn't talk much about that one as well. Your game ball makes a lot of sense. My game ball, I didn't watch a lick of this game, but I think you got to give it to Furman. Everyone had been falling and tripping up to Western Carolina. Furman goes on the road, picks up a huge win there. I think, that's very worthy of the second game ball. Shout out to Ron in the chat who says the Big Sky title is always decided by the Brawl of the Wild, one of the best rivalries in all of college football. I agree. Love the Brawl of the Wild. Been watching that thing for about 20 some years. What's your final game ball?
Yeah, my final game ball, I'm kind of between two, but I think I'm going to go with Penn, going on the road to the Yale Bowl and getting that win done. And again, pretty dominant fashion, 10 points. I took them to cover this one. I thought it was going to be a 3-point game one way or the other, just like every other Ivy League game. But 10 points in the Yale Bowl. I love it. I'm all about this Penn team. I'm sticking with them. Let's go.
Yeah, my final game ball. Play to the room. I do stand up. I've been doing stand up a long time. You got to know to play to the room sometimes. Ron, let's give your Montana State Bobcats a game ball. Well deserving when you go on the road to Sac State, like you said, 24-1 their last 25, getting that dub. Now, the scary part is when you play back-to-back good teams. Don't get caught loving that win. Go into the Kibbe Dome. Beat those guys for playing in a filthy fucking dome. All right. Cause you're there in Montana. You're there in Bozeman. Play outdoors. It's the way football is designed to be. Damn it. You take that Kibbe Dome. Look, Kibbe Dome should be a cafeteria because you guys are going to go there and fucking eat. All right. Let's go. All right, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. Remember, we'll be back this Thursday. Subscribe to the FCS College Football Experience. Just type in sg.pn/FCS and boom, subscribe away. Right, and you can watch the show, youtube.com/the college experience. Give Mike a follow at GCG_wins. Mike's always doing great stuff. He's out there in his power boats, picking winners, chasing waves. You know what I mean?
Punching sharks.
Give him a follow. And also give us a follow at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Like I said, youtube.com/the college experience. That's the hub for all of our stuff. We dropped the Big Sky college basketball preview on the college basketball experience. Go listen to that or watch that, whatever you prefer. Please, if you can, hop on over to iTunes, give us 5 stars. And like I said, I also host not only the FCS college football experience, the FBS college, which is called the college experience or the college football experience. Check out that. Also the college baseball experience, the college basketball experience. We even have the Big 12 experience. It's the Big 12. Go check it out. And check out the Sports Gambling Podcast live from Las Vegas every Friday night on VSiN, Brent Musburger's Sports Network. You get that. If you have YouTube TV, you have VSiN, VSIN. Check it out every Friday. All right. We'll be back later tonight. Actually, no, right after this. I'm jumping into college football FBS weekday game preview. So hop on over there. Check it out. It's going to read. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll redirect you. So let's ride. All right, folks, until next time, this is the FCS College Football Experience Week 8 reaction show. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run, shoot,